Fed up of floor robes, driven to distraction and drowning with doom boxes? Tired of living in chaos? Welcome to Decluttering Untangled, how to declutter when you're overwhelmed, ADHD or autistic. I'm going to help you uncover the secrets to decluttering no matter what hurdles you face. You'll discover how to declutter, de-stress and transform your world. I'm Heather Tingle, reformed hoarder, neurodivergent declutter queen and your guide through the maze of mess. Let's get untangled. Hello Untanglers and welcome back to another episode of Decluttering Untangled with me, your host Heather Tingle. So today I want to talk to you about a decluttering trend that has been doing the rounds lately, and I saw it for the first time last month. So in my world, I try and keep on top of what's going on, and there's always a new thing going off, like a new system, a new strategy, a new name for something. And this time round, it's called house hushing. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. So it's quite big. It was coined by someone called, now if I get this wrong, I'm really, really sorry, Myquillyn Smith, and they're known as the Nester. So if you give their name a Google, you'll find it very quickly. And I want to talk about it a bit more because on the surface of it, it sounds like an amazing, amazing idea. And in some ways, it absolutely is. But I do have some reservations. And also, there are some ways that I think it can be adapted, especially if you are the kind of client that I normally work with every week. So if you've never heard of it, the core idea of it is pretty simple. So as all the best ideas usually are, you basically turn down the visual volume of the space by temporarily removing everything that's not essential from it. So apparently it's called backwards decluttering. So there's 3 steps to that. You've got a holding area. So you move all the little bits, the small bits, the books, the extras, the clutter, the non-essential. So like keep your furniture, but everything else goes. So that all the clutter goes into a temporary spot, which is like a holding bay, for like another room for like 24 to 48 hours. I think it will take me 24 to 48 hours to move all that stuff into another room, but that's a whole other story. And then there's the pause. This I like. This is important. You live with the quiet, simplified space for a bit and let your mind like rest with it. You start to let yourself notice which items you really miss and which ones which you don't. And I think that's how you start to like kind of break the emotional attachment of the clutter, which sounds like a great idea. I am not sure how that part works for most people I work with because a lot of us, it's out of sight, out of mind. And if it's not there, we won't miss it. But actually, we might need it at some point or we might really love it, but we just totally forget about it because we can't see it. But that's a whole extra thing. And then there's the return. So you only bring things back in that kind of like earn their place. I like the idea of when you first move into your home, it is a blank slate, and being able to have the time to really think it through and move your things in gradually to make sure they're in the right places. Like, yes. And I think it's a kind of take on that, which can work really well. So it's also like part of a bigger 4 kind of category approach. So the first one is the decluttering part, then it's decorating, then it's styling, personalizing it with like pieces that mean something to you, which totally got on board with that one. You absolutely should style it. Although I'm not sure about soulful. I don't know. The pictures on the website are like quite chic. That is not me. But like if that is you, that will really work. But I do definitely think that you should personalize your space with pieces that mean something to you in a really thoughtful way. Like those weird little things that no one else will have got in their home that are a bit strange, they're the things that you absolutely should style out and have in your home. Totally agree with that one. And the 4th bit is living seasonally. Now, when I first saw that, I was like, ooh, like in my head, it was kind of like, okay, work with the season of your life that you're in now and all that kind of stuff, which was like, yeah, great. But actually it isn't. From what I can gather, but I might have got this wrong, is decorating according to the actual season, like where you are in the year. Like if it's autumn or fall, that's like decorate it for that. So that's like the 4th part of it. So in with that, there is a lot I really genuinely like. If your home has got fairly minimal clutter, it is a brilliant reset. Like I think this is good. If you are not trying to solve years of backlog and you're just giving like the room a bit of a breather, a bit of a refresher, that's great. I can totally see how it will work. And I like I like the conscientiousness about it, like the really thinking about it before you put something back. I like that. It's also great if you've got lots of time, lots of energy, and in all honesty, a bit of a budget to treat it as like a full project, because that is what it is. This is not a half an hour here and there. This is like a full week, I reckon. Definitely a week. And this is not good if you only do half projects and never get to the end of them. So if you're going to go all in on like a proper transformation of a room, so if you're already, for example, having like a new kitchen or a new bathroom or new flooring, I can see how it would work for this, because you're already removing everything out of the room anyway. Yes, that makes perfect sense. It will give you that clean base to kind of redecorate from. There's something quite powerful about seeing the room almost as if it was when you first moved in, as a blank canvas, and things didn't just randomly appear and you've got to find somewhere to shove them. Wonderful. And if what you need the most right now in a room is that immediate kind of like hit of relief of seeing that space clear, having a blank canvas to work from, yeah, it'll do that, won't it? Like, that is great. For some people, that emotional reset is exactly what they need to keep going with it, because that will give it them what they need. So if that sounds like you, minimal starting clutter, where to put the stuff, time, energy already built in, you're ready to commit all the way through to the end, which is totally worth giving it a go. However, I think you can probably tell, if you know me by now, you'll probably understand what my reservations are with this one. So it gets a bit trickier for a lot of the people listening to this, because you're in my world and you are probably a little bit like me. So the first question that I would ask is, where's that stuff actually going to go? So if you've got a really full house, emptying one room means putting that volume of stuff somewhere else. And that somewhere is usually another already very full room. So how is it practically going to work for you? Do the other rooms or room then become totally unusable because they were already bad to start off with? Do they make them total no-go zones? Does your bedroom floor disappear under bags for a week if it wasn't already that bad already? Like, that to me seems that it's kind of going to pile on the pressure to put it back as soon as possible, because you can't live in that chaos, which doesn't feel very calming or intentional. Intentional was the word I was looking for earlier. It doesn't feel like it fits with that ethos. But forgive me if I'm wrong, you might have totally different ideas. And then there's a sorting problem. So when you empty a whole room in one go, you're not really able to compare like against like very easily, because you don't have that space to do it. So if you've got books next to photo frames, next to cables, next to like God knows what, it's going to be much more of like mishmash. It's going to be so much harder to make a good decision about any one of those things when it's in a random pile with 50 other unrelated things. Like, how are you going to decide which one's the most important one to bring back in? And for my brain, and I guess for a lot of my clients, especially those of you with ADHD, is there's a real danger there. And I think this is my biggest reservation, is that you're going to get that dopamine hit from the newly beautiful, quiet, gorgeously styled room straight away. And that relief is instant, which means the bags and piles of stuff in the holding area will lose their urgency because you've already got the reward for doing it. And that's how like doom houses happen, because the bags that are going to sit in the corner for months because the payoff already appeared and there's no pull or reward left to get you to finish that horrible job that's going to be the hard work. So that's my main concern. And there's also a bit of an adjustment issue. So a room that goes from very, very full to empty overnight can feel really strange. And I know it says like 24 to 48 hours, but it can feel really quiet and awkward and empty and soulless. And if you've not had time to really sit with that new level of normal before you start adding things back, I don't think 48 hours is long enough. You can easily overcorrect that by feeling awkward about having space, and you end up letting more back in than what you would have done if you'd have just kept at it and decluttered gradually and got used to more and more space appearing. So I think that is also something to be aware of. And I think the last one is also a big one, and that is that it works room by room. So it doesn't touch the underlying systems. It doesn't touch the reasons why the clutter built up there in the first place. If the foundations aren't sorted, the habits, the homes for things, the reasons why things kept ending up in that place toilets or in those piles or in the dumping grounds, then yeah, that room's going to look wonderful for a few weeks. So yeah, you can get someone in. It's almost like someone's come in and tidied your space and it looks brilliant. Great. This is not what I do, by the way. But what will happen is it's slowly going to refill because that strategy never looked at why it filled up to begin with, and nothing actually changes. So the problems are still going to be the same problems later on. So I think overall, house hushing is definitely worth exploring. It's definitely worth trying for some of you, but with caution. It works best if you tackle it category, for me, I would say, rather than room by room, sorting like against like so that you can actually compare and decide. And it'll work best if you've got a proper space away from the room to sort as the holding area rather than just a corner it can hide in. Hiring a garage, if you've got an empty garage, not likely, I know, but maybe you might have got a friend has, or you can hire a space or a big gazebo in the garden type of thing. Have a look. So I think it can work with that as long as you've got that holding area that isn't going to negatively impact on the rest of your life every minute of every day while you're waiting for it to go back in. You need to have got your exit plan sorted in advance, which is hard to do when you don't know what you're letting go of, what kind of categories you're looking at. And for most people I would say that I work with, the version that actually works, it's what I do when we work together. It's not a whole room dumped into a pile, but it's a proper look at like what's going on underneath it. And that's what makes a difference when you declutter and organise your home, not the surface stuff. So there you go. That's my take on it. That's where I'm sitting with it. If you have tried it or you're tempted to, I would genuinely really love to hear how you get on with it or your take on it. Like, let me know. I am not someone who thinks I am always in the right. I've just been doing this a long time and I know what works for people who have got brains like mine. But if you've got a different take on it, I would really genuinely love to hear it. So let me know what you think. Before I go, while I remember, there is 4 weeks, gulp, until DeclutterCon challenges start. For those of you who've got VIP tickets, we have got 4 weeks of decluttering with me in the run up to DeclutterCon and 4 weeks after DeclutterCon, where you are going to see what it is like to work with me almost one-to-one, where we do tiny bite-sized steps and get things sorted and gone and do good for the world and do good for you. And that starts in like 4 weeks. I'm so scared. It's not long away. It's going to be so epic. Also, Pay in 3 finishes next week. So if you can't pay £129 or £159 in one go, Pay in 3 finishes next week. So that is still available. So have you got your ticket yet? Because I want to see you all. Like, I have just started announcing a few of the speakers and it's only a small amount that I've already said. And already everyone's going, oh, I can't wait to see this person. They're amazing. And this is just what I need. It is genuinely, and I'm not just saying this, going to be an amazing day. And I want as many of you as possible to share it with me because I need you to experience it because it's going to be genuinely transformational for you. And I really want you there. So that's me. Until next time, remember, you are not alone. Be kind to yourself and keep untangling. Thanks for joining me for today's episode of Decluttering Untangled. If you found anything that I've said today helpful, please do me a favour. Hit that subscribe button or leave me a review. It's like receiving a virtual high five that keeps me going and lets me know that I'm helping real people out there and I'm making a difference. Please remember, you're not alone in this. I'm building a community of fellow untanglers over on Facebook. Just visit the show notes for the link to my free decluttering community. So until next time, remember, you're not alone, you're not lazy, you can untangle your life.